Welcome to This Week in Tiger Athletics. I'm your host, Haley White, and joining me today is FHSU SID Ryan Prickett, and he's going to help me break down this week in athletics. So Fort Hays football improved to 3-2 after capturing a 35-7 win over Central Oklahoma.
Yeah, big win for them on the road. Obviously, we knew that was a pivotal point in the season for Tiger football. Both teams, both us and Central Oklahoma, went into that game 2-2. It kept us moving in the right direction after that rough start to the year at 0-2, so now we've won 3 straight. Central Oklahoma, I guess just for whatever reason, we just have their number right now. We've had a couple of close battles down there in the past couple of times that we were down there in 2015 and 2017, but last year we shut them out here at home and limited them to, I believe it was 234 yards when I looked back at it the other day, and then just here on Saturday we limited them to 238, so it was almost like a carbon copy performance, just other than the fact that we gave up 1 touchdown. So the defense really performed well after giving up that first quarter touchdown. We got ahead 7-0, and then they responded right away on the drive after, and it was 7-7, and it kind of had that feel like, oh, here we go, we're going to be in another shootout. And then our defense just really clamped down and just got better and better as the game went along. Only allowed 57 yards in the second half. Just a great all-around performance by them, and our offense did a good job of managing the clock in the second half too. I know we turned the ball over a couple of times and missed a field goal, and those are probably things Coach would want to see cleaned up, and hope that we would have done better in those situations. We probably could have won that game by an even bigger margin if things go our way on a couple of those drives in the third quarter. But to finally really chew up that clock going into the fourth quarter, that 7.5-minute drive to put our final points on the board, I think that finally just completely deflated the sails of UCO and put the game away for good. So yeah, hats off to the football team. Did a great job, and keep that momentum rolling as they get ready to come back home this week.
Yeah, for homecoming against Emporia State for a 7 p.m. kickoff. Yeah,
that's going to be a big matchup. Emporia is one of those teams that it doesn't matter where we play the game. A lot of times it's a rivalry game, and you got to bring your A game in that matchup to hope that you're going to get out of there with a win. Emporia is always a dangerous team. They're sitting, I believe, at 2-3 right now in conference, but that's one of those teams that we got to be ready to go to battle on Saturday, keep things moving in the right direction, because we still have some very hard games in front of us there in the conference yet. There's a couple of teams that are 5-0 right now that are still in front of us on our schedule. So we need to get all these wins that we can before we get into those really tough matchups, and hopefully things will be set up for us to maybe have some success towards the end of the year.
Yes, definitely. Men's soccer continues its home win streak after shutting out Newman 4-0.
Yeah, big win for them on Saturday. That was just another, I guess, dominant performance coming off that 8-1 win at Harding. Put 4 goals in the net, so I feel like the offense seems to be rolling in full force right now, and that's a good thing to see as we start to get in the thick of GAC play right now. And it's also important that still don't have a loss in conference play, and like I said a week ago, if we've got everybody on our hip now, and they all have to chase us because we're the only team left in the conference without a loss. So if we can keep it that way, and other teams continue to take some losses, we'll be in pretty good shape here in the weeks ahead.
And they'll have Oklahoma Baptist Thursday here in Hays.
Yes, another GAC matchup. That's one of those ones you feel like you need to go out and get. Our guys are back in the national rankings now. They were number 21 this past week. We'll see if they elevate any more this week. But Oklahoma Baptist is one of those teams you feel like you need to get that one on your home field. And then we're going to actually turn around and go on the road on Saturday while homecoming stuff is going on here. The guys are going to be heading down to Southern Nazarene, which is a suburb of Oklahoma City. So another conference match there, and another opponent where you feel like where they're at in the standings, you kind of feel like you need to go 2-0 this week, hopefully. So hopefully the men will have another great week and stay up there on top of the conference standings. And
the women went 2-0 during its week of play, beating UCO 2-1 on Friday, followed by a 1-0 win over Newman on Sunday.
Yeah, that was a great week for women's soccer after seeing how the conference season started here a week earlier against against Emporia. I think, it was like, oh boy, we got a nationally ranked team on the schedule for the next opponent, which was UCO, and then heading to Newman. So it's going to be a tough road week. Newman, I think, went into our match with us on Sunday, and I believe it was like 5-1-3. So they've had a successful season so far too. And for our women to go out there on the road and for one, beat Central Oklahoma, ended their 13-match unbeaten streak at home. And that's a team that's been really potent here the last couple of years. And that's a big win for our women to go. And they endured a lightning delay in that thing, too. They got 10 minutes into the match, and a little just random thunderstorm cell popped up near Edmond. And so that delayed the match for about an hour. And then they came back. It didn't even really faze them at all. They came back out there and got the job done. Chloe Montano had a big match down there where she scored a goal and she also assisted on the second goal. So and then to get the result at Newman that they did, some other things that happened there. Newman had to switch venues. They didn't get to play on their home field. They had to go to a different one in Wichita for whatever reason. I don't know if the conditions just weren't playable on their normal field or what. So another like little shift of plans or something that kind of hiccups and do something than what you normally do for the match. Mm-hmm. So for our ladies to go down there and do what they did and get a 2-0 week, that was a great thing for them. And they actually did it without head coach Blake Reynolds too, because Blake had to stay back here in Hayes as he and his wife were expecting their first child. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a crazy week that their assistant coaches were in charge of everything going on the road, and it was awesome to see the ladies have the success that they did have for the week. So.
And they'll be on the road for this week of play, first at St. Joseph against Missouri Western, and then head on to Maryville for Northwest Missouri State on Sunday. Yeah,
another big week. Obviously, another road week. So that's 4 matches in a row on the road. Usually, how the schedule balances out, you usually get a couple at home, couple on the road, and it just kind of keeps alternating. But on the women's side, we have these 4 straight on the road that we're going through right now, and then eventually we're going to come back home and play a whole slew of games here at home in conference play right in a row. So those are a couple of teams right now, seeing where their records are. If our ladies can play up to their capability, I think that they could go out there and win both of those matches, hopefully. But soccer's a funny game. It's just going back and looking at our win at UCO last week. I think UCO had 24 shots in the match to our 5, but we were more effective on the efficiency of our 5 instead of the 20. Mm-hmm. So that's just the way the game is sometimes. It's weird. You can rattle off a bunch of shots but never find the goal, and then that one opportunity the other team has, even though they haven't shot the ball a lot, if it's the right opportunity, it can change the course of a match. So soccer's a fickle game like that sometimes. So hopefully our ladies will go and get some good results this weekend.
After getting a win over Emporia State earlier last week, FHSU volleyball wrapped up the week with 2 losses against Northwest and then Central Missouri.
Yeah, that was a really, really tough road trip for them, obviously playing 2 top 15 ranked teams in the country. You got Northwest Missouri at number 10 right now and Central Missouri at number 13. Central Missouri's always been a powerhouse program in the top 25 of the rankings, but Northwest has really, really turned the page here lately, and they are a force to be reckoned with, and they're up there in the conference standings right now with some of the elite that are usually up there. So they've made that bigger leap now, and we just, for whatever reason, we just did not play well at all at Northwest Missouri. We didn't have any very good results in the sets of each set of that match, and it just looked like our energy level just wasn't there on Friday night. But then the ladies turned around, and honestly, they played a lot better at Central Missouri. They were in a couple of the sets. They just let things slip away right out of their fingers right towards the end of each one of those sets early on, and still got beat 3-0. But they were much more competitive in that match, and that's what I'd expect to see out of them. Friday was just a little bit of a head scratcher, just to see the success we had, going into those matches. I figured they would have played a little bit better in that match, but maybe it just wasn't our night that night, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. So, but still, there's some more tough games ahead as we continue this streak of games against nationally ranked opponents coming up this week. So
yeah, two of those opponents are Nebraska Kearney tomorrow, and then they'll be back home to face Missouri Western on Saturday.
Yeah, Nebraska Kearney, obviously a top 5 program in the country, and they're always a staple in the national rankings too for volleyball. And you know, we've actually played Kearney pretty competitively, I feel like, in a lot of matches in the past few years. It's just kind of just talking about like how that Central Missouri match went. We'll be competitive for quite a while within a set, but then we'll give up, you know, one significant run or something like that that just lets the other team pull away. So if our ladies can just kind of, you know, right the ship and don't make those big rash of mistakes of allowing that many points in a row, I feel like they can be in any of these matches against the nationally ranked teams. So Kearney's going to be a tough matchup on the road tomorrow. But Missouri Western is one of those matches, since we're at home this weekend on homecoming Saturday. It'll be fun to see how the ladies perform in that one, finally be over playing 3 straight nationally ranked opponents, and maybe feel like, hey, you know, maybe we can get a good result at home too. So we'll see how it goes this week. I know we're long overdue to beat Kearney, so it's just one of those things that, you know, it's a matter of time. It's going to happen at some point, but hopefully maybe we'll get one off of Kearney tomorrow. So
Tennis closed out its fall schedule during the ITA Fall Central Regional over the weekend.
Yeah, you know, women's tennis, they had a really good fall, I think. They, you know, went 4-2 as a team in dual play. Looking at how the fall ended up, I believe like our singles play and our doubles play, both of our cumulative records of the team were over 500, even with that tournament included down there in Oklahoma this past weekend. And so Sydney McAdoo made the furthest progress of any of our players in singles play. She played in what was dubbed as the B bracket. There was an A bracket and a B bracket, but Sydney made the consolation semifinals. So she, you know, lost her first round match, but then she battled through and won a couple of consolation matches before falling ultimately in the conso semis. So it's good competition for our ladies to go down there and kind of see where they're at individually against some of the other elite performers in the region, and a lot of teams, you know, that we get to compete with over the course of the year in the springtime. So that's just good competition for them to kind of just see where they're at and be ready for spring when that comes around back in March. So hopefully good things for the tennis team to come this spring.
And then lastly, after having a week off, cross country will be back home this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a full homecoming Saturday. You know, we've talked about volleyball. We talked about the football game coming up against Emporia. Those volleyball's at 3 and football's at 7 on Saturday. But you know, there's a cross country race in the morning over at Sand Plum Nature Trail, and that starts at 9 a.m. And our cross country teams have been having success. You know, if anybody wants to come out and watch Fort Hays cross country, I mean, they've had a really successful season so far, and this is a really cool chance to see our team perform against some of the really, you know, good programs around this part of the country. This has become a race that even some Division I programs decide to come out and run at too. So it'll be interesting to see what all teams we do get here for the race, but I know it's grown into a very large race over these last couple of years, just because a lot of coaches like that layout over there at Sand Plum, and so it's a kind of a unique course. And so it's going to be an exciting homecoming Saturday with a full slate of action started by the cross country team in the morning.
Well, that concludes This Week in Tiger Athletics. Thank you for joining me today, Ryan.
Yeah, no problem.
To stay up to date on the latest news and information throughout the week, visit tigermedianet.com.